So I know a lot of guys like me are kind of feeling this mix between guilt and sort of impending doom. And I wouldn't say it's an end of the world scenario. It's more of a social psychological evolution. You see, when I was working at this place and found out that five different people didn't have an imagination, I thought, holy shit. Now it makes sense why you always said this, why you always said this, and I'm thinking, damn, everything's connecting right now. But I've always been a cautious person, cautious. I don't even think I've ever actually just walked up to a woman and said, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Unless I was drunk. See, I'm cautious in my mind. I'm playing several scenarios, and a lot of them that are gonna end up bringing out, the part of me that, yeah. But the thing is, there's we feel this guilt of not doing what we should for ourselves and what we could for others. We feel this guilt, and it attaches itself to our depression. And it's like, well, I've already been condoned for this, already been condoned for that, already had this many problems, got this reputation. I'm not gonna succeed anywhere. Like, I've always done factory work. I'm not really good with, you know, be on a job site or whatever, and the person will be talking to me. If it's not a place I'm familiar with, it's like my brain's scattering. So like this person's trying to tell me what to do, and I'm like doing algebra while you're blind. If they give me a couple of things, and I'm at the moment I'm focused. I'm not trying to use my imagination because that's kind of involuntary. I don't even realize. Like I realize when I do it most of the time, but not like that I am doing it. Yeah, the transition's what's hard to see because it's like somebody will be talking to you, and it's like you're thinking about what they're talking about, and then that focus barrier just disappears, and then you're in your head, and they're still going, and you're missing what they're saying because you're drawing an image of what they already said, and it's leading to scenarios of like watching a movie, you predict certain scenarios happening. So we're doing that in conversation too, and so when everybody says, well, you know, uh, don't talk to the guy that always tries to talk over you. Well, that's because we're in our head and just played like three different scenarios while you were filling in the middle of the story. The I wouldn't say unimportant, but you already gave us something to work with. Now our brain's doing what it naturally does, is working. And when you disassociate, it's like you don't even realize you're doing it most of the time. So then you start feeling guilty and shit. You start feeling guilty. Why? I don't want to say it's because, we're trying to sound like whiners. So I can't even do a video when somebody's around. It just messes with my head, and I'm just thinking, what are they thinking? I know it's like I shouldn't even care, but it's just that my brain goes there. It's not that I care. It's that my body is reacting to what I'm thinking. So if I ever got to the point that I didn't care, boy, I'd be worried. I'd be really worried. It's like I was talking about my exes. Like I've just acted like a dick to get their attention. Play bigger dog, or you know, I just hang out. Fucking wait to see. I guess they kind of, some people would say it's weird because they're not being assertive, but the thing is, I'm playing multiple scenarios in my head, and it's like, well, I want this to work out where I shouldn't actually be thinking that. I should be thinking, if the person doesn't accept me for who I am, like my wife, she does. But, like she dealt with this guy for 4 years, and the guy is like, I don't know, but let's just say she had to get that experience of dealing with the minion before she dealt with the monster, Mhm. So so then, you have these times in your life where you kind of hit a crossroad, and all your brain wants to do is think. It's like you want to go do this, but you're going to think about this, and it's going to how it's going to make you feel, and that you're going to end up being oversensitive, I guess. Not externally, but internally, because when you feel guilt, you feel a lot of other things too and shit, right? And it's not the whiny guilt. It's something that we're trying to identify, because apparently people don't have it on the level that we do. They say, well, everybody's gone through shit. Well, yeah, well, everybody's brain's different. You know what? Because you can't imagine, you can't understand the realities that I deal with, and we are not the same. Like, I know a lot of people have had it tough, like never had a chance. But the thing is, they adapted to that situation, and people that can see a lot of scenarios have a harder time adapting because they can see what they could have had. So it's a major downside. Now we're dealing with all these people that are just complete robots. But then they start changing when you're around them, and it's like now you're trying to keep up with the changes that they're making, trying not to exceed, what they're gonna not expect from you, but you don't want to freak them out. You don't want to freak them out, man. Once you freak them out, that's the end of the rail right there, and the train's done. The train's gonna have to go back. That's what it's like in this world right now, is dealing with all these people that you're just trying to keep that track going, just so you can connect, just so you can figure this stuff out. Because sure, you can read it online, but there is just so much stuff that you can learn so much faster from people, so much faster. And that's one of my problems right now. Is I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to a job, and they're not gonna like what I talk about. But guess what? I get disassociated. And that's what I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be talking about what's on my mind. I mean, I can control it for so long, but I'm gonna have a period of time where I'm I I gotta talk about this. I gotta figure this shit out. I gotta offload. I gotta see if I get information back. Like, there's so much information. It's like, you know, I can imagine mathematicians back, like, hundreds of years ago. Hundreds of years ago, and imagine somebody trying to stop them from what they were doing. Like, dude, I got this major idea in my head of how to figure out, connections in the universe, and you're gonna tell me it doesn't matter? Yeah, well, we'll see about that, because I bet they predicted it would, the effects too, just like I do. Like, I know a lot of effects that people will have even before I do something. Like, I pick like three different scenarios, and then I'll notice little cues that kind of narrow in on the scenario that it's leading to. And when everybody's robots, I'm just the outcast that's, on his own little island with just a volleyball right now. Yeah, there's a bunch of us though.